Netball development is in the spotlight today, and that's of course because the Telkom Netball Championship is set to return to Pretoria this week, displaying the best young netball talent from across the country. Now hosted at Hoerskool Waterkloof, the four-day competition was launched in partnership with Netball South Africa as well as the South African Schools Netball Association, and aims at identifying, nurturing as well as advancing the careers of aspiring netball players nationwide. So joining us this morning via Zoom is Wooley, who is the president of SA Schools Netball, as well as rising netball star Phophi Nematangari, to just help us look ahead to this competition and speak about the importance, of course, of netball development in the country. I'll start with you. I remember that this is a competition that was launched back in 2021 during the height of the global COVID-19 pandemic, and it was sort of aimed to address a critical issue in South African netball. That was the transition of players from high school going into university, and how many players were sort of lost in that transition. Let's speak about how this competition now has worked in unearthing the talent from high school, going into university, and of course building up to, hopefully, these are the sort of players that can represent the country at the world stage.
Thank you, and good morning to everybody, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. This is obviously awesome because we're standing on the brink of the 2024 Telkom Netball Challenge. And as you rightfully said, this is something that started a couple of years ago during COVID, and it's grown in leaps and bounds. I think our children are all geared to try and make these teams, because the under-17s and the under-18s at Oslet School can now begin to see what it's like within their senior counterparts, the under-19s that are at varsity and moving on to higher levels. And I think it's vitally important that our children have a platform to showcase what they have developed during the course of the year. Because we have a netball season that starts sort of March and culminates around about this time. And I think this is one of the platforms that they can actually show it. And it's important that our young people do have a showcase where they can show their talents, because people need to work for something. We are unfortunately living in a goal-driven world and an instant world, and people want to see success. So I think this is one of the ways that we can actually show that this is going to be really, really successful for the future.
And of course, Phophi, you are a result of the Telkom Netball Challenge. You played at that competition a few years ago, back in 2021. Let's talk about your rise, because you are the next rising star in South African netball. Everybody's talking about you. Talk to us about your rise from where you started to where you are now. We are playing for one of the leading netball teams in this country, in the Gauteng Jaguars.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. It's been a journey, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I've been given from being in the all ages and transitioning into the Telkom Netball Championship, and now being in the Telkom Netball League. It's been a journey. It's been a fun one, and just going to the side of the Telkom Netball League, where it's not just your peers that you're playing against, but also like the likes of Pretoria, who playing against the one of the legends in the country. So it's been a journey, and it's an exciting one.
Yeah, and you speak about having played against Pretoria to win the final of the 10 now just a few days ago. Unfortunately, your team lost to Pretoria's team in the Free State Crinums. I wonder though, Phophi, when you look at your career now, do you feel like you've developed as a player, or do you still feel like there's still more work that needs to be done?
No, definitely. There's always room for improvement. I don't think I'm where I could be. I think there's still room for improvement, and I'm still working on it. Yeah, there's still a lot to learn in the game.
All right, still a lot to learn in the game, according to Phophi, and that's why I need to bring you into this conversation now, And I asked that question about whether she's developed, because the success of netball in this country hinges on what happens at the grassroots level. You're the president of the South African Schools Association. And it's not just about whether the players developed, it's about the work that's been done by the coaches to develop these players so that by the time that they make that transition to the national team, a coach does not have to worry about whether a player can shoot, can defend, or can attack. Are you guys empowering coaches at the grassroots level to equip them well to be able to coach players like Phophi and all the players that are coming up the ranks?
Absolutely. We've got development programs, we've got coaching plans, and Netball South Africa works really closely with us to make sure that our coaches do actually go through the motions of level 1, 2, and 3. And I think to highlight that was for me at the World Championships last year when one of the players, Nicole, who was the player of the match, when she saw us, she said, please, can you call my primary school coach? I want to say thank you.
Oh.
And I think those are the memories, those are the moments, those are the things that make it special. So it says to us, even the lowest level of primary school teacher is just as important as your secondary school teacher, as going into varsity and going into the national. We also have a program for our preschool children, which is called mini netball, and where we try and teach them the skills of all the different positions. So development, coaching, and enhancing our coaches is incredibly important to us because we feel we are the bedrock of what we are going to give to Netball South Africa. And I'm a proud South African, so I want to see netball do well.
You know, I absolutely love how you're referring to the World Championships, of course, the Netball World Cup that was hosted in South Africa last year. And I often wonder about the World Cup and how it has sort of created a legacy die for young girls to take up the sport. How important was it for South Africa to host that World Cup? Because it has given young girls the hope that they can also represent the country at some stage.
Well, I think it was great because we had a number of competitions throughout the country throughout the year so that we could give incentives to school children to go and attend one or two of the matches. And if I just look at the elation on those children's faces and the way that they cheered for everybody and ran to and said, oh, there's my hero. And, you know, that's what it's about. In football, in rugby, you always get to know the people. But in netball, I think it's been long in coming, but our young players are starting to know who they are, and I give all the accolades to the Telkom National League because now they are seeing their heroes, they're seeing the people that they can look up to. And you can even, with the World Cup, you can see the world stage and get to know those people and follow them. Because with social media, the world is an oyster.
Just to find out, Phophi, you have dreams, of course, of representing your country at some stage, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies, this morning on the Weekend Report. Of course, speaking about youth development, netball development in the country with, of course, Wooley, who's the president of the South African Netball Schools Association, and, of course, a rising star in Phophi Nematangari, who is a result, should I say, of the Telkom Netball Challenge.